So, welcome everybody. I'm really glad that you joined me today to my presentation here about my favorite topic. It's about social media and how to win with it. There is so much going on out there in the social media space, and only a few companies really get a hold of what it takes to have a successful social media strategy. And I, as myself, will elaborate a little bit about these use cases, these 5 data-driven use cases that really work for our clients and how you can apply them in your companies today. So, first off, my name is Bastian Karweg. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Echobot. You find our team and our booth in Hall 6 at booth CO43. If anyone wants to know a little bit more about what we do, as you can see here, our team, our awesome team, thank you guys, you're awesome, is holding up a banner which is saying 1 billion, and the billion stands for amount of posts, amount of articles that our machine, our Echobot, has scanned from around the web. So 1 billion posts, 1 billion articles from news media, PR release, news wires, blogs, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, YouTube comments, everything that you have, we have a huge chunk of it within the Echobot and can analyze it. And this is why over 300 companies today trust our services in the area, in the German-speaking market, so Austria, Switzerland, and Germany, to gain insights about their customers, to help them really excel at their PR monitoring, and really to make the best out of social media. And I want to thank them also, because it was from the feedback and from the valuable contents that those customers provided that I really got to this presentation today, and I really gained the insights that were needed to make this presentation work and happen. So, a quick agenda, what we are talking today. And by the way, this talk, as you can see, is given in English. But you can join us at our booth tomorrow at 4 p.m. I will make a similar talk in German, so if you don't understand anything, any particular thing, you may join us tomorrow at 4 p.m. at our booth. And what this talk is going to be about is, after this introduction, I will talk to you a little bit about why social media is so hard, why everybody is struggling with really getting the ROI out of the campaigns and to see what makes social media work and tick. And then, again, I will use this big chunk of data that we crawled to give you an idea of why we need a new approach. Why we need a new approach to make social media work, especially for the B2B space. So if you are in B2B and you have a working social media model for you, I congratulate you. Most of you don't. Most companies in the B2B area need another approach. And this is what I'm going to talk about. And then I will give you what was promised, the 5 use cases that I talked about that really helped our clients to make social media work for them. And in the end, I will conclude with a revelation about what social media may be for you and how you can really apply this today at your company. So to start off, I will give you a little bit of a personal story. This is myself at the humble age of 16 in the year 99, or maybe 14, not sure. And I was really into computer games all the time. In particular, something called Half-Life and Counterstrike. Some of you may know that. And I spent endless hours in front of my computer, and I beat those crunchy little enemies, and I crushed them, and I was really, really happy about it. But after a while, the AI, the artificial intelligence, was too boring for me, so I invited over some of my friends. And back in the day, we were sitting in our basements, stuck, door locked, pizza, no daylight in, and just playing computer games against each other, because we could think, we thought that it would be more competitive. By the way, that in the back is Jannis, my co-founder at Echobot, so we go a long way, we both together. And after this got boring, and I was not so bad, but I think the best out of our group in the game of Counterstrike, I wasn't challenged anymore. So we took it to another level. And the level looked like this. This is a huge LAN party, I think, in Aachen somewhere, where like 500 or 600 people joined together, and we, all of them kids, tangled together our PCs and made a huge network and competed against each other. And what I learned from that was that even when I was the best in my peer group, I wasn't nearly at the top of the Counterstrike community in our regional area. So I was maybe top 20, top 30%, but there were some guys that were really better. But that got me thinking, if today, as a kid, I would try and join the Counterstrike or the gaming community in general, this would look like this. And this is a screenshot of the Steam gaming platform. At any given time, there are like 3 or 6 million people online playing games against each other. So what I'm trying to say here is the internet has changed us. The internet and the connectivity has changed how we behave and how we make our lives more engaging. And this instant connectedness and this instant communication leads to another thing. And this thing is global competition. So if I wanted to be really, really good at the game of Counter-Strike today, I would need to practice much, much, much more, because I have to compete with the best of the best. And same thing is true for your companies. So if you have a great product in a specific area, you don't compete against your regional competitors anymore. You don't compete against the local stores next door. I can buy anything on Amazon today. So you have global competition for buying milk, so to speak. Milk, not so much in Germany, but there are countries where you buy groceries online. So that is coming as well. And this is called, is understood most by the people we call digital natives. Those are the people, those are the guys who grew up with this stuff and who really embrace it and really have it embedded in their lives. And I want to make a quick test, so you have to do something as well. And the test is, how much of you are digital natives? So please, everybody, just for once, stand up for a moment. Come on, a little workout. Just once, I promise. Okay, so the next slide is showing something. And if you can make the connection between these two things that are on the left and the right, please, if you know what these things have in common, please sit down, okay? Okay, congratulations. Everybody who is sitting is not a digital native. That's a quick test. Thank you. You can sit again. So, as you may know, the cassette player was recorded and rewinded by putting a pen in it. But if you're not in the pen business and in the cassette business, then you probably don't know about it. So this is our test. But now to get to the point, to get to the topic, to how is social media affecting my business? There are a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions about social media regarding ROI, how to cope with different social channels, how to maximize my reach and stuff. But the gist is, this stuff is really hard. And there is a lot to it. And you probably are on at this conference to learn more about particular areas of what is written on that slide. So I was thinking, a lot of times it seems like a lottery. It seems like you can't really make it work if you want to, and sometimes it just does work, and you don't know why. And this is kind of frustrating. So, as an academic, I have this theoretical approach of things. So let's see what the theory says about how to make social media work for my company. So there is basically two approaches here. You can either buy your way into success, or you can make really something great that works. And we're talking about paid media here and owned media. So paid media is when you make a huge campaign, a huge advertisement about your product. And if you make it viral, that is a bonus. But to make it viral, you really have to reach a huge crowd of people to make them engage in the content. And if you owned some media, for example, on YouTube, you own your own channel and you create a really good video, then that can go viral as well, but it's even harder. So what happens is you have to stay real, you have to engage with the community, You have to have your SEO straight if you want to make your own content grow. You have to use automation software and all that jazz. And you have to really get those likes and shares and upvotes. And if you're grateful and if everything is right and the weather is ready, then you get this. You get earned media. So you get what other people call virality, so that people share your story, your message with other people, especially from their peer group, which makes the marketing message even more compelling. But the problem here is, this is much like in the music industry, or in the movie business, for example. There are those who have indie hits, like this guy with his blender was really great, or OK Go, the music band with their treadmill song. They really hit the YouTube vibe and made millions and sold millions of copies afterwards of the new album. But most of this, what you see today as social media success stories, is really this. It's big money, it's high quality. You have this babies, Evian babies. You have this guy on the horse, I'm on a horse and stuff. And and those things are really produced at a high quality, with much effort, a lot of ad agencies behind it, and they really try to hit the vibe of the community. But you have to compete with those guys if you want to make a viral hit, because the consumer is getting used to that standard, that quality. And there is only a few very, 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 very good ideas left that can make it to a really big hit. And the problem also is everybody is doing it. Google Plus has like 260 million active users now, and a lot of them are, and in addition to that, there is like 300 million users which have a YouTube user account. And nearly everybody of them uploads a video and tries to stay in the crowd. So you have this huge amount of data you are competing against with, and there is only a limited time frame where the consumer actually can look at things and decide to share it with a friend, for example. So why social media can be hard is that if you are a small or medium-sized company, you have really limited resources. And if you sell door handles for the BMW, that doesn't make for a good product, a sexy product to use in such an area, for example. And again, if you are in the B2B space, this is particularly hard in addition to it, because you're selling to companies, and companies, yeah, they're consisted of people, but there are people working in companies, but they don't use Facebook, for example, during their working hours so much. So as a result, what happens here is when companies tend to use social media, they tend to use a reactive approach. Something like, oh, there is some complaint on our Facebook page, so let's work with it. Give it to the customer support guy. Or, oh, there is some new ad possibility Facebook just announced, and I can target my ads to this certain targeted group of people. And especially small and medium-sized companies use that approach and try to make it work, but obviously if you have this approach and there is so much going on in that space, it makes it even harder. So I want to tell you a little bit of a story again about one of our clients. And this client is called Zinco, and they make green roofs. So they plant grass on roofs to make urban farming possible, for example, and it is environmentally friendly, and you have really good tax returns if you have not so much sewage water produced. And this is particularly interesting for huge complexes, huge buildings, for example, a gym or a town hall or something with a flat roof. But this guy says, okay, there is YouTube. Everybody seems to have a YouTube video nowadays. So let's make one too. Let's use the social media to get to new customers, to really use that social media thing to improve our business. But I want to point out something. And this is not a bad result. I think it's a really good result, actually. It's 6,700 viewers on that video. But guess what this production of the video cost? Let's just say we didn't make €1 per viewer. And this is not particularly bad because that video lives on his homepage and lives on YouTube for a long time, and it gets more visits, but we can all conclude that it wasn't a viral hit. It wasn't meant to be a viral hit in the first place, but it probably isn't the best spending amount or the best ratio of dollars spent to reach gained here. So what about inbound marketing? There is this new type of thing that people tend to, if they are searching for the golden goose in social media, and this is called inbound marketing. So basically what inbound marketing is, you have to have good content, but that's really hard to create. You have to come up with something that makes somebody want to look for it. So something that somebody would type into Google to find you. You have to promote this stuff. So as you may know, Google nowadays doesn't rank only based on the amount of the keywords anymore. They have this backlink thing that's common knowledge since 20 years ago. But today they are also ranking via social signals, for example. It's just a tiny fraction, they say, about how things are ranked, but it's probably getting a bigger impact in the future. So you have to care about how your content ranks in social media, and especially, in particularly. So there are, in addition to that, no guarantees that this thing will work for you. So you can try it out and you can use these networks, but as you saw with our client, and I will get back to him in a minute, this doesn't really work for him. It didn't really work for him in that case. And if you look at Google today, Google looks much like this. So everybody lets down a rod in the water and tries to catch some fish that are down there with this particular keyword combination or that particular keyword combination. Some use long tail, some use short tail, but everybody is going through that river of traffic, and tries to catch the other fish that are swimming in there. And the problem here is this river is really overcrowded. So the question here is how to be successful. How to be successful as a business with social media. You want something, if we made a wish list, you want something that works for small companies and medium-sized companies as well. You want something that works for B2B. You want more control over what happens. Do you want to see a result from what you put in, a fair effort with a high outcome? And you want something that not maybe, but really works for you. So, to drill it down, we need a radically new approach for social media in the business space. And this is what I'm really excited about, because what made our clients really happy is what we call the Agile social media approach. And I want to talk, these 5 examples revolve around this Agile new social media approach that we came up with more in a peer-to-peer way with our clients. So I want to tell you about these 5 use cases that I promoted earlier. So we believe that Agile social media should not be about the obvious challenges, how to get into Google to a bigger position, or how to rank better, or to maximize your ROI with the channels that are obvious and everybody is using. But really to seize the opportunities that lie with this huge amount of 1 billion articles, for example, that we have access to. And really dig down deep into that data and really get out what helps you as a company to make things work. And this is what I want to talk about. But also Agile social media approach means that you really have to help somebody to get helped by others. You have to help people so they can love you back. And also you have to be specific, and you have to take specific actions to get a measurable result from this. This is what makes social media, Agile social media, very special. But I reserved the most important point for last. So the most important point is you don't wait for the fish to jump into your bucket, but you actually go out and grab them. Okay. Enough high-level stuff, enough new buzzwords and so on. Let's go dig down into what we actually did. First, I want to talk about a thing that I call opportunity mining. So in opportunity mining, what we did with this client, as I told you earlier, this guy who does green roof things and urban planning and so on, he came to me and he said, I have a problem. If somebody goes to an architect and has his drawing and his sketch for this new building finalized and it is going to the approval from the city, for example, nobody will think about this green roof thing again. So I need to know before that actually happens. I need to know when somebody thinks about building a new building with a flat roof. I need to know when anybody hears that somebody is thinking about that somebody is building a building with a flat roof. So what we actually did is we did this. We looked into Twitter in this particular example and looked into the online news and PR releases and really drilled down to those tiny bits and pieces hidden in this huge amount of data that answered his question. Which buildings are going to be built? It's in German, but which new gym is going to be built at this Glarus thing, and which new child's care center is built in the city? And there are people talking about this stuff. If they heard at their town meeting, for example, that a new child daycare is built, they will maybe mention it somewhere in their social media conversations with other people. Or if you have a sports player and he says, oh, I'm really, really happy, I'm looking forward to winter because then we will play in the new gym, then this is an indicator for our sales rep at this company to maybe talk about if you are building something, why not put on grass on your roof and enjoy the benefits about that. So they were really happy about that. They used these opportunities to really make them new business. And not in the form of a tweet, obviously, but if you really drill down on one particular tweet and find out about it and see who is actually building what here, and you extract the business lead, so to speak, out of that conversation, then you can give it to the sales guys at his company, and they can make 10 grand or 100 grand out of one single relevant tweet. It's so much potential hidden around there in the social web that those guys now use. It's really phenomenal. Also, another client of ours is the really, really nice company of Maui, and they sell furniture for kindergarten and toys for kindergarten and daycare, child's daycares. And over several weeks, we delivered them new businesses or new leads that were talking about some new daycare opening. As you maybe know, in Germany, we have this huge reform where lots of new daycares are built. And this is great for him because he gets to know, oh, there is a new one and there is a new one. And we delivered, I think, 80 or over 100 new leads to his sales reps. And over 40% of these leads were completely unknown, unheard of to those sales guys. And they do that for a living, whole day. You could think that they have maybe an intern who is looking for that stuff on Google, but they don't. And most businesses don't. Most businesses don't use this kind of social media approach to mine those opportunities that are hidden in that space. So how to mine opportunities, how to do it? So first of all, you have to ask yourself, who are my customers? What do I know about them? What can I use to get to these leads? And then you have to ask yourself, which events causing them to need your product? So for example, if you build a new building, you need maybe not only green roofs, but you also maybe need new toys for your kindergarten. That is also true if you have a kindergarten that has just received a funding. There is a lot of public funding, for example, or private funding for kindergarten and child's daycare. So if you have a news talking about this kind of thing, you also can feed it to your sales reps to make the most for your company, the most business out of it. So, and this approach is also particularly interesting because you can use the context that you found the lead within. You can call him up and say, oh, I just received the news that you received funding, congratulations, how did that work? And he talks about it and he's happy, and you can get into the conversation very smooth. And you can talk about, okay, so let me just tell you a little bit about our company. We're doing this and that, and this is why this is relevant to you at this given point in time. So you have to think a little bit outside the box if you want to make that work. Let's talk about some numbers. You may think, oh, this is just some case where it works, and you may think, yeah, that's just maybe because of this governmental reform or something, but it's not the case. So I will give you some numbers. There are 1,500 new buildings or renovations announced every month on social media, just from the fraction that we are crawling now. There are 8,000 websites launched or relaunched, or companies that are talking about that kind of stuff. So if you have, for example, an SEO company, and you say, oh, do you know that when you relaunch your website, 80% of the links may be gone, and you lose most of your valuable rankings? This is the perfect source for leads for you. You can make an entry, a starter package for those kinds of companies, and you can say, we have this relaunch package, it's $1,000, we check your website, we optimize a little bit, and you get a lot of new business out of this, if you can cope with the amount of leads you will get. There is 4,500 changes in leadership positions every month. So think about it for yourself. What could these people need if you start a new job, or if you have just lost some valuable employee? You may be looking for a replacement. There is 800 startups making their first appearance, probably a lot of them online these days if you look to Berlin. So if you are a lawyer who has this startup consulting thing where you have really low fees maybe, and you want to earn new business from emerging and up and starting companies, this could be a cool source for new leads for you. And to close, there is 1,500 people who need help with web design every month that you can individually target if you have this kind of technology. So you may say, oh, we are doing that. We have this intern who is Googling every day, and she's looking for new stuff, and she emails it to our sales, and if there is a complaint, she emails that to another guy. But the reality is that most of you probably have a Google alert, but it's not a strategic decision in your company. There is so many departments and so many persons in your company who have their own Google alert. And some of these mails may be forwarded to the right person, but to really make this work every day, every single day, to get to the maximum amount of business you can get out of this, you have to have a strategy here. Okay, this maybe sound as something that we call social sales, but it really isn't social sales. If you look up social sales in the Wikipedia and stuff, you get a definition like this, that you, oh no, that's the different thing, that you use social media to really sell something. So you get to this customer and you mail him a link, maybe an affiliate link, and he buys that product out of the link you sent him, and then you will get maybe a return from Amazon or stuff. But that's not what we think about social media. We think about this opportunity mining even more. And social sales in particular can also work a little bit like this. This is an example of an American company called Sift, who is doing that full-time, and they get those leads, for example, weekend plan, car shopping with my wife, minivan or sedan, decisions. And then there is this lead Sift thing, and they score this lead and say, oh, we know from his profile that he is male, and that he has a dog maybe, or that he is living in that area, in that space. But that is really a bit of a problem. And then they engage here with, hey, how many kids do you have? Maybe this is the right thing, and so on. And they say, okay, in this particular case, maybe it did work, but you can see here, yeah, he's not that sincere maybe about really showing up. But it's kind of what people think about social sales, and we tried this out with our customers, but it's challenging, to say the least. So it only really works in Twitter here because you have this public communication? Or could you imagine that if you say, I don't like BMW, that Mercedes befriends you and say, hey, let's make a new test drive for this Mercedes thing? That's probably not what you would find really natural in that space. But there is not so many success stories here to tell. We looked really hard even into what other companies are doing in the US, especially because they are probably 1 year ahead of us in this space. But in particular in German, it is difficult because our Data Privacy Act or data privacy laws, you couldn't really make public profiles like this one with some lawyer not getting the jazz out of it. Probably our lawyer wouldn't approve it. So you have to really think about what is possible here. But if you are in the B2B space, for example, this is not the case. This really works great. Okay. I rather would use proactive marketing, how we call it. That's the third use case that I want to present to you. And I want again to tell you a story about one of our clients. This client is called United Signals, and it's a small startup from Frankfurt. And they have a really, really novel approach to some kind of trading strategies. So they basically have like a marketplace where you have these traders and they say, okay, I would buy this and I would buy that and I would short that and I would sell this. And you can look into how they are trading. These trading profiles are public and you can join them. And you can say, okay, I put like $500 on this guy because he thinks to be thinking like me, and that guy maybe a little bit less, but he could maybe make me a huge return. This is a very novel approach in that area. There is probably some other models, but the thing here, or the idea behind this problem here is that those guys came to me and said, okay, nobody is looking for the stuff we are doing. We can't really do Google AdWords for that because nobody is looking for trader, marketplace, where I can follow bits and shorts things. No? Nobody is looking for that. So we used this agile marketing approach to help them. So our goal was here to lead people to their website, obviously, like in Google AdWords. And how we did it is we looked for conversations that were happening on the web that had similar customers like those the guys from United Signals wanted to approach. And we were humble and we were helpful and they asked a lot of questions in forums and in question platforms and stuff. And we answered their questions and we helped them. And then we would gently drop our name. Okay, I'm the expert from that company. Just that. And then we build up a reputation and we let them find out about us. So if we answer like 3 or 5 questions, then they would think, okay, these guys really seem to know their stuff. So who are they and what are they actually doing? And the truth is, the result is, it actually works. It translates into measurable clicks to their homepage. So we uncovered about 10 relevant conversations per day where they could participate in. They didn't participate in all of them, and they were spread around different forums and blogs with commentary and stuff, and maybe even Twitter. I think in very few cases it was even on Twitter. And the result looks something like this. So this is a Google Analytics screenshot from one forum post, one forum thread, where we participated in a conversation over several months from different guys discussing how to make the best use of their money. And you don't get interest these days. You get like 150% on your daily accounts and stuff. So each other day, somebody is clicking through to this article. And this article stays live on the web for a long time, and you could really use this to drive traffic to your site. So you may think that this is kind of like what inbound marketing is about, or this is what kind of like SEO is about. It is backlinks, isn't it? No, not really. It is not backlinks. So you don't need to create huge content. You don't need to write the best article that is about Chinese dog food. You don't need that, because you can take part in the conversations already taking place and just help the people. You don't need to spread the word. You don't need to buy really high-quality social media advertising spreads for this stuff. You just tap into the existing clickstream, that goes through these forums and these blogs. And you're constantly working if you constantly work on the relevant forums and blogs, you gain more expertise and you gain more reputation and trust from these people. And this approach works even better. So, in the end, is to say you don't even have to put a backlink in there. People, if they trust you, they will find out about you, and they probably will give this novel approach from these United Signals guys a try, because they trust the people who stand behind it. So this is not really what any business is doing on a strategic or on a constant basis here. So 4 out of 5, nearly finished, but it's getting more interesting. How can we use this agile social media approach for PR, for public relations? And this is most of the time some kind of dry topic. I've worked in this area for 10 years myself, and there is not so much innovation going around there, but let's see how it works. So probably you do this. You send out a press release, you have or build a list of interesting journalists yourself, you mail them your pitch, and you hope that they will write about you. You may even buy something from a list broker here. You can use also different services and platforms like distribution services, but nobody actually really thinks that this is working really well. So what we did with Agile Public Relations here, again, another customer of ours, we used another approach. This is Panatex. It's a protein analytics company, and as you can see, it is really a very specific topic. So the goal here wasn't to build a giant list of all medicine-related journalists and all science-related journalists and just mail them, but to grab the right ones, pick the right ones out of this huge amount of data who actually cared about this topic, about the topic of protein analytics. And through web and social media, we found these journalists. But we didn't even stop at journalists. We found about bloggers as well. We found about special interest groups or information science facilities and researchers who also were interested in this kind of thing. So the result was this. We uncovered 123 highly relevant contacts for this client, but the gist is only 60% of them were previously known to the company. So it's a huge amount of potential that is out there if you are strategic about this kind of thing and really dig deep into the data and think about what can be in there for you and for your company. And if you look at the result, even better, the opening rates nearly tripled from what they had before. And this is really a good approach. So last but not least, everybody's talking about this thing, social CRM. And you probably wonder, how is this agile social media approach reforming the social CRM space? So the social CRM is revolving around how to get a 360 degrees look around your customer. So you need to connect this news streams and you need to connect the social streams from that company to your CRM database and get to know, as we saw, he's male and he has a dog and he is living in this area. And we have to aggregate all these data into a dashboard and then show it to the right person at the right time. And this really can help because it helps you to get a lot better at what you are doing. And I want to show another use case. It's not public yet, but it was a call center, and they had like 15 to 16 sales reps, and the results were phenomenal. We reduced the call preparation time from over 10 minutes to around just under 6 minutes per call per day, and these guys doing hundreds of calls every day. We also decreased the cold call rejection rate, which is probably a lot of guys in the audience are struggling with, because if you cold call up somebody, it just hangs up. But if you have relevant information, maybe he just announced a new product, maybe he's going to the DMXCO trade fair, then you can really engage this person really much better. And also the sales reps were more happy because it wasn't just some list with some phone number, but they did understand who they were actually talking to. So this also can help in the social CRM space to make use of this giant amount of social and web data. So to recap, we catched our fish, now we recap. It can work for anybody, no matter how small or how big your company is. It can produce instant success. You can do it today. There is almost no pre-requirements for you, and it's really cheap to do. You can start maybe trying to Google yourself, and you can have personal conversations with your clients, learn more about them, and make more business for you out of this. So to conclude, big social data really holds big opportunity. But there's one more thing. So as of today, we are announcing a new product line for Echobot, and it is called Echoboost. We're just adding an O here. To really boost your sales, boost your marketing, boost your PR. So you can try this out for yourself. You can hire an intern, Google it. But if you want some help and you want to really gain the knowledge that we gathered over the past 2 years, the first 20 social media leads which we will make for your companies are free. There is my colleague standing at the exit, and you can just drop in your business card and we will call you up and help you with those 20 free leads. And if you want to do it yourself, you can register online for this. So I hope I could really help you guys a little bit about opening your eyes, seeing what you can do with this huge, ginormous amount of social data that's out there. And thank you for your attention.